Hi, my name is Jasmine Smith, and this is my presentation for Assessment 12, Chapters 11 through 20 slideshow. Chapter 11 focuses on effective management plans. A good arrangement of a classroom floor plan, furniture, and materials is very important. Structured student behavior, and it also promotes effective student learning in the classroom. I would say that we need to keep in mind all of the students in the classroom. There are some with special needs, and make sure that furniture is easily accessible and there's enough space between the furniture and the classroom is organized so that the students can learn easier. I know with my experience this past year teaching, I did have a seating chart and I kept my furniture very organized in specific rows, keeping the spacing open so that students didn't feel crammed, and that was very helpful when I was moving around the classroom as well as them. Chapter 12 focuses on greetings and introduction. Chapter 13 focuses on the arrangement of the classroom, greeting your students at the door, a welcome note, name tags on the desk, and a seating chart, discipline, and conduct contract. I believe there should always be room to adjust the seating arrangement. You should always make that. I like to personally adjust my seating arrangements pretty often so the kids know that they're never too comfortable exactly where they are, that they can always kind of be moved around and they are able to talk to all of the students in the classroom. And I think that helps them learn better as well, and become better working with other students. Also, the discipline contract is very important because it holds the students accountable for their actions. And they've signed the agreement, we've gone over it, and they know the importance of their behavior and the consequences. Chapter 14 focuses on an efficient way to begin each day. In order to have a successful instructional day, the teacher needs to have a strong plan in place. You need to utilize a schedule and continue that routine throughout the year, every class. You need to make sure that the previous assignment is also located on the board and that they know their warm-ups and their do now is every day. So that would be part of that routine. So that's an example of one of the things that you would keep up in the classroom. There's no room for distraction. They know what they're supposed to do. They know what's expected of them. They know there's going to be a warm-up. They know they're going to be accountable for turning that in, and that is going to be a grade. Chapter 15 focuses on your classroom procedures. You want to teach, you want to rehearse, and you want to reinforce. So the procedures must be taught, they must be rehearsed, they have to be constant, they have to be practiced every day, they need to get into the routine. They need to be reinforced, and they need to know that these procedures are important and are relevant. So you can reinforce them positively and motivate the students. The more that they practice, the better it's going to be. The more that they practice, the more it's going to be instilled in them, and it's just going to become part of what they do, and there's not going to be any questions asked about it. Chapter 16 focuses on how to create consistency in the classroom. The procedures must be followed. The instructions also should be centered around the students. When students are more involved, it's easier for them to stay on task. When they feel like they're playing a part or a role in your classroom, and when you make each of them feel special in that way, then they're going to be more motivated to what it is that you're teaching. They need to be involved with these instructional materials, and it needs to be consistent so that the standards are valued by everyone, and you can continue to have a successful day each day. Chapter 17 focuses on an effective discipline plan. So you want to create procedures relevant to learning, and you want to build responsible students. So taking it back to making sure that each student is responsible for their own learning. So as far as taking charge in different activities in your class, um, it also takes the workload off of you as a teacher when you hold the students accountable and everyone works together and can help and make that environment easier for learning. Chapter 18 focuses on efficient lesson plans. The three components include objectives, instructions, and assessment. So you need to make sure that you have a good lesson plan where your objective as a teacher is to set attainable goals. Those attainable goals need to correspond with your teaching process. You need to have adequate time in preparing for the lesson, and you also need to make sure that you have assessments in order to understand what material they are grasping and what areas they're showing weakness. And the areas where they might be showing weakness, you want to try to test out those new teaching methods. If you have something new that you'd like to try and see if that works with your students, that's your chance to do that, to try to strengthen those weakened areas. Chapter 19 is the assessment for student learning. So feedback, self-assessment, and student mastery. It's important that you give the students strong feedback so that they can understand how they're doing, and that way they can better assess themselves. It's important for the students to be able to see where their strengths and where their weaknesses are, and that's what we as teachers should be helping and providing for them. When students learn how to master every aspect of their learning, they're no longer going to come to you and ask you for grades or try to receive something from you. They're going to actually be involved in the class and taking your task very seriously and trying to make sure that they are working on their weaknesses and they can see where their strengths are, and they are able to master that and assess all of that information. Chapter 20 is student learning evaluation. Before teaching instructions, make sure to plan the students' test questions efficiently. You want achievable and constructive objectives that must be set in order to determine the outcome of the test. So you want to make sure that you're giving out instructions that are going alongside of the material when you're teaching. You're giving out instructions and objectives that are going along with your lesson plan that are also going with your test material. So everything is hand in hand. So your test material and your teaching is together. So you know what you're testing before you're teaching this, whatever it is that you're teaching. So you know what the questions are that need to be answered beforehand, so you can prepare them more efficiently for their tests and so on.